It's pretty wild to think about this quote. It comes from Sir Isaac Newton, one of the smartest people who ever lived. I mean, this is the guy who literally figured out the laws of the universe. But even he admitted he was totally stumped by one thing: the absolute madness of people when it comes to money. And believe me, this wasn't just some abstract thought for him. That number you're seeing, that's over $3 million in today's money. And it's how much Newton personally lost in a huge market crash called the South Sea Bubble. The crazy part is, he'd already made a ton of money and cashed out. But then, he got FOMO, jumped back in right at the top, and lost everything. I mean, if a certified genius like Newton can get wiped out, what does that say for the rest of us? So that really gets to the heart of the problem for every single investor, right? This madness of crowds. See, being good at investing isn't really about having some secret formula. It's not about complicated math. It's a battle against your own gut feelings and that powerful, sometimes totally crazy pull of the herd. And here's the thing, this is not ancient history. This madness is timeless. You see it in 1720 with Newton, you see it in 1929 with the Great Crash, and you definitely see it in the dot-com bust, which, by the way, vaporized, get this, $7.4 trillion. Trillion. The names and the technologies change, but the two things that never change, good old fear and greed. They're always the same. Okay, so how in the world do we protect ourselves from all this chaos? Well, thankfully, there's an antidote. It comes from a book that's basically the Bible of investing, The Intelligent Investor, by the legendary Benjamin Graham. And he starts by drawing a really, really clear line in the sand. This right here is Graham's core idea. Let's just pick it apart for a second. Thorough analysis, that just means you do your homework, right? You actually look into what you're buying. Safety of principle, that's a fancy way of saying rule number one is don't lose your money. Protect what you started with. And satisfactory return, notice he doesn't say get rich quick. He says satisfactory, reasonable. Now here's the kicker. If what you're doing doesn't check all three of those boxes, Graham has a word for it: speculation. And the difference between the two is just night and day. Look, an investor cares about the business. What does it actually do? How much is it really worth? A speculator? They couldn't care less. They're just staring at the stock price, trying to guess what the crowd is going to do next. So you really have to stop and ask yourself, honestly, am I buying a company or am I just betting on a ticker symbol? So, to help us wrap our heads around how to deal with the market's insane mood swings, Graham came up with this amazing little story. It's probably one of the most famous analogies in all of finance. So let me introduce you to your new business partner. Yeah, seriously, just picture this. Imagine you own a business and your only other partner is the stock market. What would that even be like? Well, turns out your partner, Graham calls him Mr. Market, is, let's just say he's a little unstable. He's totally manic depressive. Some days he bursts in the door, just giddy with joy, telling you your business is the best thing since sliced bread and offers to buy your shares for some ridiculously high price. But then, other days, he comes in terrified, freaking out that the sky is falling, and will basically beg you to buy his shares for next to nothing. The only thing you can count on? He's going to show up every single day with a new deal. And this is the first huge lesson from the story. His job is just to name a price. That's it. That's all he does. You don't have to listen to his crazy ramblings. He's not your guide. He is there to serve you. And then comes the best part. Your job is to decide. You look at his offer and you decide if it makes sense for you. You are never, ever forced to do a thing. You can tell him to get lost. Or you can use his mood swings. When he's panicking, you can buy from him on the cheap. When he's euphoric, you can sell to him at a premium. The point is, you are in the driver's seat. Okay. So if we're just going to ignore Mr. Market and his drama and make our own calls, how do we do that? What's our guiding light? Well, Graham has an answer for that too. It's his single most important concept, his ultimate defense mechanism. He calls it the margin of safety, and it's such a simple, beautiful idea. All it means is this: you only buy something when you can get it for way less than what you've calculated it's actually worth. That difference, that discount, that's your safety net. That's your buffer against things going wrong. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. Let's say you do your homework and figure out a company is really worth about $1 a share. That's its real intrinsic value. But Mr. Market is having one of his bad days, so he's offering to sell it to you for just 60 cents. See that gap? That 40 cents? That's your margin of safety. It's a built-in cushion for when life, happens.
And this is why it's so brilliant. The whole point of the margin of safety isn't about being a fortune teller. It's the exact opposite. It's about admitting that you have no idea what the future holds, but if you have a big enough cushion, a whole bunch of stuff can go wrong. The economy could tank, a new competitor could show up, and you can still be okay. It's protection against an unknown future.
Which brings us to what might be Graham's most important lesson of all. After all this talk about markets and businesses and numbers, he basically says the biggest threat you're ever going to face isn't out there in the market, it's right here, inside your own head.
And there's actually some crazy science to back this up. Psychological studies have shown that the pain we feel from losing money is more than twice as powerful as the joy we feel from gaining the exact same amount. Think about that. This loss aversion is baked right into our DNA, and it's what makes us panic and sell at the absolute worst possible time, right when Mr. Market is having his biggest meltdown.
So an intelligent investor has to fight against that natural instinct. You have to learn to be a realist. You have to be the person who sells to the wild optimists and buys from the terrified pessimists. You're basically using Mr. Market's emotional roller coaster to your own advantage. And in the end, it all comes down to this one simple truth. The real risk isn't in your stocks, it's in yourself. I mean, you could pick the greatest companies on earth, but if you can't master your own emotions, you're still going to end up with terrible results. The danger is us. So, you see, investing isn't about beating everyone else. It's about controlling yourself. It's not a test of IQ, it's a test of discipline. And so, the real question isn't whether you can outsmart the market. The real question is, can you master yourself? Are you ready for that?